Hi Professor, this is my American culture reaction video. This video's goal is to reflect and consider American culture and ideas and practices that from an outside point of view. Horace Minor wrote an article called Body Rituals Among Nakarima. In this article, he described the grotesque and hideous civilization and their barbaric practices, only to reveal later that this was actually America and his view of what an outsider may perceive of American culture. Minor's vivid and gruesome details of American habits is striking. He quotes, "As part of this striking ceremony, women bake their heads in small ovens for about an hour. The theoretical interesting point is that what seemed to be a preponderantly masochistic people have developed sadistic specialties." This burning of heads, though, is simply women using hairdryers at salon. When they sit under it and they have the cone around their head, of their culture viewing this may think that women are just burning their heads and they enjoy this. Sitting in class and listening to Professor K talk about this culture and their barbaric habits had me fascinated. At first, this article was a slower pace, but then it ramped up in intensity as the habits of this insane culture became more vulgar and extreme. My mind first drew the first connection to modern-day America when they were talking about the listener. I quote, "Listener, the patient simply tells the listener all his troubles and fears, beginning with the earliest symptoms he can remember." I remember thinking like, hey, that's like a therapist. And that's when it slowly started to dawn on me, like, this is actually something familiar. Like, my reaction was like, no way, this was a real culture. But then right after the listener part, I started drawing dots. And then when Professor K revealed that this Nakarima culture is actually American culture, but it's just viewed from an outsider, it all just instantly made sense. Like, the veil was gone, and suddenly I could understand where all these like barbaric and these impractical ideas are originated from. While we think we have surpassed these barbaric practices, some remain. The masses form in hordes, become like a sea of creatures. Some collect their earnings for years to venture to the sands of chaos. It is an abomination to the senses as they yearn for red to pour from their ears, liquid down the throat, and to partake in horrendous ritual movements of the body. While they fear the ground quaking beneath them, at this ritual of chaos, they welcome the movement of the earth. By the tens of thousands, they worship and throw themselves and put on the altar. The bodies of some mimic even death when the gods bring light itself onto their people. This barbaric ritual that I just described is actually Coachella. It is located in Indio, California, and it's an annual event where hundreds of thousands of people gather to celebrate and listen to their favorite artists play music. They form in hordes to be a sea of people as they look onto this altar, which is a stage where who they worship is praising and singing out loud. Sometimes people will save for a year to afford these tickets, as they can be incredibly pricey. The Sands of Chaos is because that it's in the desert, and the music and the noise and the loud music, it's like the ears are bleeding, but they go for this experience of this chaos. When I talk about how they fear the ground shake, quaking beneath them, I'm talking about earthquakes. We've had like in the Circus Maximus in Rome, that was a concert held by Travis Scott. It mimicked an earthquake. These earthquakes are something we usually fear, and it's a tragedy, but we go to these events, and especially at Coachella, where the noise and the music legit makes the earth shake. So it's very interesting that people go to these events to experience something they fear on a daily basis. By the tens of thousands, they worship and throw themselves and put on the altar, which is a stage. The bodies of some mimic death when the gods bring them in the light on the onlookers. So I'm thinking about spotlights and like the stage and people fainting when their favorite artists recognize them. This event kind of encapsulates two very interesting, polarizing opposite American values. On one hand, we have the individual. Especially in today's social media, like everyone wants to be different, standing out from the crowd and being like an influencer or the one people look up to is something that is valued and inspired. Like, people want to be that. But at the same time, we have this contrasting opposite section. But then these events is it's depersonalizing. If you become a sea of people, you cannot recognize one face from another. It becomes one collective unit. America is so strikingly different, but also the same, where you can be striving for individuality, but at the same time be wanting to morph and become a sea of people where you are unrecognizable from each other, all doing the same exact activity, an ant working in the hill. Coachella started in 1990 as an effort to bring the music festival energy that they had in Europe to American deserts. It was a rocky start for the founders of the event, Paul Tollett and Ricky Van Santen. founded this, and at first it was not profitable, losing millions of dollars per year. But today it's become a staple of music festivals and one of the most anticipated events of the year. Coachella only continues to skyrocket in popularity, reaching a peak of 250,000 people in attendance. But due to America's shifting culture and value of social media, it's shifted from just a musical festival to almost a fashion show, as modern and popular celebrities go to these events just like a gala or like the Golden Globes Awards. What they're wearing is almost as important as what they're going to, and that's become a staple of Coachella along with the music. While the cultural impact of Coachella is undoubtedly a statement that will forever live on, the American values of the event reflect a very interesting and different point of view. On one hand, we have America pivoting more to a culture that celebrates and promotes recyclability, like the use of paper straws, electric and fuel-efficient cars, things that protect and help save the earth. But on the other hand, we have events like Coachella, which, according to the Business Review of Berkeley, most notably is the huge negative environmental impact that it has on the surrounding area. It has been estimated that Coachella generates 107 tons of trash daily, and this is a 3-day event. So that is 300 plus tons of trash on one event that is wasted and damaged to the environment. One event, Coachella, really demonstrates the hypocrisy in America. While we preach and demand and support events and global outreach programs that push sustainability, we also have these egregious, enormous parties in the desert that damage the environment drastically. While this Nakarima article is very egregious and absurd in how they describe American culture and events, there is some truth to it. Coachella, while us Americans, we may see it as a great festival to celebrate our favorite artists and music, other countries might see it as, wow, they promote sustainability while they have these humongous parties. My review of the Nakarima article, and along with my example of Coachella, set a very interesting point about how America is filled with hypocrisy and contradictions. And to some extent, that is the American value. We preach and we push and we strive for sustainability, electric cars, reuse of plastic materials, but at the same time, America is one of the largest countries of waste. We waste so much food on a daily basis. We have these horrendous parties that waste hundreds of tons of resources, yet we preach sustainability to the rest of the world. This is a prime example of ecocentrism. While the Nakarima article magnifies this event, there is a lot of truth in it, as it has become an insane culture that we live in and we consider correct. Thank you for watching. This is out by a review of American culture and the Nakarima article.